Hi trader, this is Chris and Admiral Markets here with a new Forex outlook, of course, of this week, looking at the key decision zones on euro dollar, pound USD, dollar yen, and Aussie. First of all, be aware though that this video is shown to a global audience, yet may not be suitable for everyone. Take a look at the link, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity to find out more about conditions and details. Also, trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for everyone. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for informational and educational purposes only, and by continuing watching this video, you agree with this disclaimer, plus you're aware of the risk involved when trading. I want to start with the euro dollar 4-hour chart. You can see price is making a bearish retracement as we speak, actually, and there's some momentum here in this downside. But don't be surprised if price could bounce at one of these fibs that I have on the chart. I'm taking this particular bottom here to this particular top, and these are the levels I'm getting at this moment. And it looks like, of course, we got a bit of a channel here as well, and price is really seriously either breaking it or challenging it at the very minimum. But if it breaks that, there could be a bit of fall indeed. But I do think that the 38.2 fib at 111.50 actually is a bouncing spot. Then if that level breaks, there could be a bouncing spot yet again at the 50 fib at 110.75. If that level breaks, then there could be a bouncing spot at 110, which is a psychological round level as well. 109, 108.50, 107.75, and 107.50 are key levels of support in my opinion, and could see price actually then bounce back up. So that's the main thing, like how far can this retrace lower, and when would we get a bounce? Now, if we don't get a bounce, let's take a look at the daily chart. First of all, if we do get a bounce, at any of these levels that I'm expecting, because you got tops in here too that were broken and can become support. Mind you that obviously this could be the end of a correction, but we could use these levels as support as well to bounce back up to higher resistance before then going back down again. All right, so that's the main scenario I think for the upcoming days. Will we get the bounce in these support levels, and will we see the price continue up to resistance, which should be a turning spot? If price doesn't bounce or doesn't bounce majorly in the blue area here, then as soon as price then starts to break through this support, there could be a breakout to the downside, and price could then retest the 105 bottoms that you see right in here. All right, so that's basically what I'm looking at for this week, is this kind of scenario: a break or bounce at support, and if we do get a bounce, then perhaps a bounce of resistance as well. And you can see on the daily chart that obviously we still have this downside. Now we're getting a correction like this, and there is a bit of space still before we get to bigger resistances up in here. So is this just a bit of a pullback for a move up like that, or will price break below this support and start moving lower like that? All right, so for the moment, I'm expecting a bigger bullish bounce. And as I said, I think that these levels will provide a bounce up to resistance, and then we could see a bit of a downside. And perhaps, who knows, maybe even get up to the higher level. Something like this is what I'm looking at. But if, unexpectedly price does break through this support level, then there could be a bearish breakout to retest these bottoms and these double bottoms, basically. And if that double bottom breaks, well, then we're in serious bearish territory again in this downtrend. This week we got a lot of webinars again. Of course, tonight Nana takes a look at his setups on the majors. Tomorrow and Wednesday, live trading, also looking at market orders and pending orders, using different strategies and tools. Wednesday evening and Tuesday evening we have educational webinars. This time around, not on Thursday, but Tuesday evening, we take a look at trading the markets upon pullbacks. Wednesday evening, channel bounce trading system with Nanit. And looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see, of course, that price hit the 38.2 fib. That was already a very strong resistance spot. Warning already last week or 2 weeks ago. Watch out, that could be major reaction to a fib like that, especially a 38.2 fib, and boom, price falling a lot very quickly. But now it's kind of making a kind of a consolidation. It's making a bit of a channel sideways. So I would say there are two main scenarios here. Let's talk through them. Of course, obviously, if we get a bullish break, there's a good chance to retest the 38.2 fib, and if it breaks that level, to go up to the 50 fib level, where there's also a strong resistance trendline confluence, right? So those are kind of, that's the bullish scenario, basically price breaking through resistance channel and going to retest the 38.2 fib, and if we don't get a double top, the price can continue up to the 50 fib and bounce off that confluence, excuse me. That's one scenario. Now the other scenario is that price breaks through the channel to the downside, right, like this. In that case, there could be, first of all, a potential zigzag, and price could bounce off this support level. So there's a bit of a space down right in here between the channel and the bigger support trend line, and the price could bounce off of that support line. That's one scenario. The other scenario could be that price starts to really fall fast. It pauses, price just pauses a bit at this trend line, but then breaks again. Well, in that case, obviously, we're in a very strong bearish momentum and bearish territory. So very important for me is this support line, and this resistance line, and this resistance horizontal level. All right, so, and of course here too. And then, of course, the bottom. All right, those are key levels basically, because if price breaks the channel, we got space down to the trend line. If price breaks the trend line, we got space down to the bottom. If price breaks the bottom, well, let me take a look. We're probably heading towards the minus 272 target at 136.50. So that's basically what I'm looking at. And it's going to be interesting to see if price, of course, gets there, to see how it reacts to this support level. If price basically makes a bear flag, well then, and then starts breaking that bear flag, there's a good chance to continue. Same thing for the upside. If price hits the resistance, then makes a bull flag, well then there's a good chance that price will make that upside to the 50 fib. Dollar yen, of course, very interesting dollar yen because it broke the massive support levels around 116. A very interesting break because there was a lot of momentum, and well, we were already talking about it in various places that this hook back was just probably going to find resistance and start falling towards the support level, and if it breaks that, well, it could continue, and look at that, a beautiful momentum took place indeed. Now, as we know from just a theoretical point of view, whenever support levels like that break, well, there's a good chance that they become resistance in the future. So obviously that level is a magnet for price. Price could get back to that level, and there could be the flip side importance here, and it could become very strong resistance. That's one thing obviously to keep an eye on. And the descending wedge here nicely breaking to the downside. So if I look at how far could price move down, and I put a fib on this entire upside, you can see that price basically could go all the way down to the 38.2 fib at 106.65. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now the daily chart here, we can see price moving down, bouncing, and then breaking. And I see if I put a fib on this leg that there's confluence at 38.2 fib, 115, and the 50 fib at 116.30. And if I then zoom into the 4-hour chart and put a fib on the smaller swing, then actually price could even bounce a bit earlier, because look at this zone right in here. That was a zone where price was going sideways, was a choppy price action in that particular zone. And that was actually a moment where price already broke support. And that was the question, will we get a pullback before moving down, or will we break, or will price break right away? And price broke right away. We didn't get the pullback, and that actually created this small little zone in here that becomes resistance. So will price even get up to here is a big question. I think that any of these fibs, the 50, 61, and the 78.6 fib, could be the turning spot. 114.25, 115, 116, 12-ish, right? So any of these fibs could be resistance. But it really could be, I think, ideally at this moment, it seems to be the 115, 61.8. Why? Well, because there's this zone in here. It's a fib as well. It's on the daily chart, it's a 38.2 fib. On a 4-hour chart, it's a 61.8 fib. So there's a lot of confluence in that zone. And that seems to be the ideal level. Now, will price get that high? I don't know, right? That depends. We never know for sure. It's in a corrective mode as we speak. But there's two scenarios I'm looking at. Either price will continue like this and get up to whatever level it wants to move up to and then find resistance and turn, right? Or it might break earlier. And that's why I'm keeping an eye on this green line. Because if price falls to the green line, it should bounce. And it could head up here. But what if it doesn't? What if price goes back to the trend line, makes a small little bear flag, and then starts to break that bear flag like this? Well, in that case, the breakout right in here could be interesting as well. So those are two things I'm keeping an eye on. The pullback back to the broken support, or if price manages to break this green line, there could be a breakout to the downside. Now, last but not least, the AUDUSD I'm not really interested in because price did break this resistance, but it's still very close to daily resistance level right in here. And well, basically what happened on the 4-hour chart is that we retraced pretty deeply. I should use green actually for that. Look at this retracement, pretty deep. But price didn't really get any good momentum to the downside. And it's basically just going sideways. It's a bit choppy as well. Look at all these daily candles just going sideways. So for me, it's not really a clean chart. I mean, we got good momentum here. We had a beautiful triangle and a good break, pullback, but it's not continuing to the downside. So at this moment, it seems a bit choppy, especially if price still remains below this resistance, right? I'm not interested in going long and not interested in going short because price is breaking to the upside here on this 4-hour chart. So if price does manage to break below these support levels, there could be a breakout trade to the downside. If price manages to break above resistance, well then maybe if I get a good hook back and pullback, if I get a good pullback and continuation, I might be interested in upside. But for the moment, I'm just cautious and standing on the sidelines with the Aussie. All right, thanks for joining us. Hope to see you in the webinars. Make sure to take a look at the website, admiralmarkets.com, for all of your content and new updates and analysis. And wish you all good trading. Cheers.